we have always getting better response from customers. Lot of footfall. From year 2015, we are participating in ProPak Asia Thailand. And this year also, due to COVID, there are lesser movement, but the key customer, who are our customer, and more people who are interested in our product are visiting frequently.
At first, Liquid Box planned to be in ProPak exhibition and have a booth, actual booth there anyway, because we know that people around the world will come to ProPak especially for the packaging business. However, the COVID situation did not support us that much to be physically being there to meet our potential client and also our partners. So ProPak has offered us a hybrid exhibition, which actually answering what we are looking for, because we still want to meet our potential clients and also our partner, but without physically being there. So that's why, with no hesitation, we actually participate in hybrid exhibition.
Swadika. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to all the speakers who are with me today. I'm Rose Chitanuwat. I'm going to speak a bit on the movement of the ProPak Asia before going to the webinar session today, which is under the host by World Packaging Organization, WPO. So we are going to have ProPak Asia 2021 with the new date in September 15 to 18 September at Bytech. However, we are going to have the online events or the virtual exhibitions during 9 to 23rd of June. I would like to use this opportunity to inform all of you that you can join us in the online event or the virtual exhibition during the 9 to 23rd of June, and we will see you in September 15 to 18 at Bytech, Thailand. So come to the session today. The webinar is all about connect. We are going to connect the packaging sector together with the beverage sector. We have very well-known speaker, the expert in the industry. And today it is our great opportunity. We have our simultaneous translation provided to our Vietnamese friend in the packaging and beverage industry. So the webinar today will be on the new innovation in packaging. Now it's time already. I will pass the stage to Professor Pierre Pinard, the chairman of World Packaging, the president of the World Packaging Organization, to introduce to the session and moderate the session. Thank you very much. Please, Prof. Pierre.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rose, and it's wonderful to be with all of you from around the world. A very good morning to our listeners and viewers in the United States, and a very good evening to those of you in New Zealand. But at the same time, a very warm welcome to many other countries: United Arab Emirates, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Switzerland, China, United Kingdom, Indonesia, and I'll give you some of the other countries later on again. But we've got a great session lined up for you. We've got powerful speakers, highly qualified experts in their field, and they are talking on very, very topical subjects. So I think that we need to get right into it as soon as we can. Please don't forget the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Any questions, put them in there. We won't take questions during the presentations, but we will be having a half-an-hour session at the end of the 3 presentations. So it's really my pleasure to introduce our first speaker on this session, a lady all the way from Beirut in Lebanon, Ms. Soha Atala. She is very involved in packaging, as you can imagine, but also marketing and food safety. She focuses on the Middle East and African markets, North African markets and Asia. And she partners on numerous projects with UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. She's certainly an expert in her particular aspect of packaging, and she focuses on countries like Morocco, Mongolia, Pakistan, Jordan, Oman, Egypt, Bahrain, Lebanon, and Tunisia. So we really look forward to listening to you, and she will be focusing on packaging design innovations. Thank you.
Sohar, may I ask you to unmute mic?
So, okay, so now can you hear me?
So you might want to go to slideshow mode at the bottom of your screen to slideshow. Yeah.
So first, let me reintroduce. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. It's really my honor to be with you guys in this important webinar where we're gonna discuss many aspects related to the latest packaging and marketing innovation for the beverage sector. I thank Professor Pierre for his introduction, and I will start now with my presentation. So the screen is clear to everyone. Rose, can you see the screen?
It's very clear. Yep.
Okay. So as you know, packaging has a different challenges to meet. The packaging, most important, has a functional role. It has to protect the product and to reach in a good state and to avoid contamination from environmental aspect. It has to be sustainable. It has to meet the legal obligations, regulation, food safety measure, packaging contact material, and it has to be beautiful and attractive. So today, during my presentation, I will focus on the marketing aspect of packaging. The most important things when we talk about marketing is needs. It's customer needs, consumer needs. And consumer needs are not static. They evolve really from time to time. And that's why the marketeers or the brand owners, they have to keep up with the consumer needs. And that's why packaging is very important part of the product, and they have to keep up with the needs by keeping up with packaging innovation to respond to these needs. The most important needs of packaging is convenience. Whenever a consumer buy a product, he needs to be satisfied while using the product. So how to open it, how to close it, how to carry it, how to handle it, how to store it. So the most important thing in the consumer mind is to remember that he has a positive experience while using the packaging of this product. We don't need to have frustration or any problem with handling with the product. So that's why while designing the packaging, we need to take care of these checklists. And for sure, we need to keep up to date with the latest trend, and now we're gonna discuss them later in my presentation. So I talked about the functional side for the convenience, the handling, the storage, and now about the marketing. For sure, we need to go to professional to help us in designing the visual aspect of our marketing. And when we talk about beverage is really a product that really need to be nice and need to be attractive, especially while carrying it. So most of all, your packaging design needs to be eye-catching. You need to be standing out away from your competitor on the shelves, and you need to communicate your message and your value and your brand identity to your consumer. And most of all, you need to ensure your brand recognition. For example, when a brand they issue a new beverage or a new product, they need to use the same branding element so that the consumer will recognize and will have a brand loyalty and a brand recognition. And last but not least, you need to communicate your price. So from your packaging design, you need to give a message to the eye that will give a message to the brain that you are a high-end drink or mass or medium. So you need to communicate your positioning and your brand identity to your consumer. So this is an important checklist whenever you want to design your packaging from a structural and from a visual point of view. Here is an example. All of them, they are juice. And we say this is our slogan, packaging makes the difference. Sometimes, you know, private labeling, the same drink or the same juice is being packed in different bottles, and here packaging is showing the difference, is showing through colors, through illustrations, through typography. So most of all, we need to do a market research, and then we need to segment our consumer. We cannot respond from a same packaging design to all the customer, even in your country or on the planet. So we need to segment our customer. And then when we segment them, let's say I'm targeting women from the age 20 to 30. So I want to focus on this segment to understand the needs. And then I need to use the packaging element to create this shelf appeal. So for example, if I'm focusing on the senior segment, the most important aspect is convenience of how to open the beverage. I don't need to have a lot of strength when I need to open this. So I need to improve access. I need to have a tier slit. I need to have a liner tier that will be easy to open. So that's why ease of opening is my concern in this segment. So I focus on innovation and how to respond to this need. So this is about market segmentation. It's really very important. Even mass product like Coca-Cola or Nestle or any kind of multinational brand, they cannot respond to all the needs. That's why we need to have different variables to respond to specific segment needs, like by gender, by age, by income, nationality. Pierre was discussing the country where I had mission with United Nations and WPO. So when you go to Arab country, their values and their perception are different than American or European. And same as well in the same country, when you're talking to rural community, it's different than urban community. It's different when you are talking to highly educated people than regular educated people. So we need to understand the different needs in your selected segment to be able to respond to them. Here is an example of how Evian, which is a leader in the bottled water, they have segmented different consumer in this for the same product. Here we are talking for water bottle. So we have the same product, but packed differently. For example, and here are the packaging element. We are using a glass packaging with direct printing. And what is the message that I'm giving from this packaging? It's a high-end, it's a premium price, it's used mainly in restaurant, high-end restaurant or hotels. So I will not buy the glass bottle for the regular use of water. And then I go to the PET regular plastic bottle with the label printing, which is less expensive. And here the communication to this segment that it's for common use. Then I go to another segment of the consumer, which is the sports people who needs to use and to drink water while doing sports. So that's why we see a different cap. So here in these 4 different packaging design, we have 4 different caps. We have 4 different packaging material, also the sleeves and the ergonomic shape of how I'm grabbing the bottle, how I'm sipping the water. Last but not least, the kids, which are the most important segment. Here I'm attracting the kids through this Disney character. We see the sleeve, how it's shaping the bottle, and the ergonomic shape. So this is an example of a famous brand for water, for beverages, how they use different packaging elements to attract different segments of your society. So what we need to focus when we design our beverages on colors. Colors are very attractive to the eye. And let me tell you something, in marketing, the most thing that your consumer will remember of your brand is the color of your brand. Me, whenever I want to go and to buy cereals for my kids, sometimes I forget the name of the brand, but the color of the bottle or the color of the box will remind me of this. Also, typography is very important. The caps, the label, everything is actually important. But most of all, you need to have a good brief on your consumer needs to be able to respond to your customer needs. Talking about global packaging trends for beverage and for food sector in general, the most important trends is the on-the-go, the snacking packaging. You know, our society is now changing. So we are on the go, we are all the time busy. So we need to consume the beverage and the food in a very efficient and a quick way. So that's why we see a high rise in the snacking packaging. Sustainability is also very, very important trend for the consumer for food and beverages. Convenience, e-commerce, especially after COVID, we have a high rise even in buying online basic commodities like groceries, like food, like beverages. So your packaging needs to be digital. Now we are in a digital webinar, so we see QR code, the same for your beverages. Consumers like to interact with the brand, so we see a lot of digital packaging. Healthy lifestyle is also important. I will discuss about it later on, and fashion and design, especially for alcohols and drinks. We see a lot of limited edition packaging design to attract the consumer and to create dynamics and connection with the brand. We cannot talk about trend without talking about COVID-19. Unfortunately, now it's the second year that we have been locked in our houses. And this COVID and the lockdown affected consumer behavior and consumer needs really drastically. So the most important trend after COVID-19 is emotional and mental well-being. Really now people after the lockdown are having more importance for their physical and emotional well-being. They want to search for product, for brand that will respond to this important factor of the general well-being. And from this trend, many products and many brands have focused on this element to attract their consumer. And really drinks are now using functional ingredient. They are changing even their ingredient to address this mental well-being, because consumers are searching how to relax, how to focus on their emotional and mental health. And for sure, packaging, as we said, the packaging design needs to reflect this trend. This is an example of some beverages that are focusing in their design on the relaxation and on the well-being level. We can see from the design, from the color, good dress, even from the emoji that have been used, that they are focusing on this aspect. Also, many drinks and many, even alcohol, are changing the color and the design of their beverages to focus on this emotional and mental health and the relaxation aspect. Also, another trend that is coming after COVID is the healthy eating and the healthy drinking. All of us now, we are obsessed with this. We are focusing on even cooking in home, on finding drinks that are coming from healthy ingredients, and to increase our immunity and to focus on how we can really face COVID and other illness as well. So also the packaging design need to reflect this healthy eating and healthy drink. So here we can see also some example where many sodas and products are using colors that reflect that these drinks are healthy for our health and for our immunity. And we can also see a new product development like drinking teas, drinking other healthy drink that will boost our immunity. And as I said, the colors and the design need to reflect this aspect. COVID as well strengthened and increased the sustainability trend. We all, during the start of COVID, all the humans start to feel guilty because we are responsible for what is happening to our planet. So this trend of sustainability is really a big strain on the brand owners because they are urged now to respond to consumer need. They cannot ignore this sustainability trend anymore because research and study prove that consumers are ready to pay more for a packaging that is more sustainable. Consumers are also boycotting some of the brands that they are ignoring this sustainability aspect. And we can see a lot of move for anti-plastic or no plastic and all of this. So this is a big trend that consumers need to focus on it. So, so now the brand owners are really urged to think how to redesign their package to respond to the reduce, reuse, recycle, and to have less packaging material and to be more sustainable by using recyclable element. So here is an example of even Tetra Pak and Coca-Cola and Heineken and other famous brands are responding to this shifting in their packaging practices to be more sustainable, not only in, and also the design needs to reflect. So here we can see the use of more craft colors and the move to more corrugated and paper product. We can see here how Coca-Cola used this replaced plastic wrap and the Heineken as well.
1 minute to go, Soha. 1 minute to go.
Okay, and also we can see here the trend for using the paper bottle, even for alcoholic drink. There's a big trial for using the paper bottle. Last but not least here, the Coca-Cola, I'm also a big fan of their limited edition. So we need to keep up and interacting with our consumer. The packaging needs to be really beautiful, it needs to be sustainable, needs to be protective. So there's a lot of challenge, but also needs to be beautiful and attractive. And from time to time, we need to redesign our package. Also, I want to focus on the e-commerce challenge because also in the lockdown, it increased a lot. So people are more buying their drinks online. So we need to have this packaging that will protect the product and to reach in a good way. Let me be quick since I have one more time. Also the healthy lifestyle, we need to focus by the way we describe the ingredient to be honest and not to mislead the consumer on what is inside the product. In conclusion, I keep on focusing, we need to understand the consumer trends, we need to understand their needs, and we need to use packaging design element to create a shelf appeal and to increase our sales. Thank you so much. Last but not least, allow me, Pierre, I would like to invite all the audience here to our World Star Award ceremony that will take place on 9 June in less than 1 month. It's, you know, World Star is the Global Packaging Award. It's the best of the best of the packaging excellence. And here we will be recognizing our winners and we will be announcing the President Award and other special category, marketing, sustainability. So I invite all of you to attend this important award ceremony that will be based on a hybrid basis. And this is the link for registering with us. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you very much, Soha. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions coming out of that presentation. So a very warm welcome to all our Vietnamese who joined us today, and also from Singapore, Thailand, obviously, Turkey, Tanzania, and the United States. A very warm welcome to you. So our next speaker that will be joining the panel, you'll be talking on the developments in packaging innovations. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Chakravarti, AVPS. Now, Chakravarti is a numerous, may I say, at least 5 past years, he's been winning World Star Awards. He is probably one of the very few, if not the only one, who has an Ameristar Award for pharmaceutical packaging. Chakravarti has 30 or more than 30 years experience in the paper, the printing and the packaging industry. And he's certainly certainly an expert in that field. Chakravarti is also our ambassador, our global ambassador for the World Packaging Organization, and he has served as chairman of the Indian Institute of Packaging in India. Chakravarti, I really look forward to your presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pia, and greetings to all my friends and fellow panelists, the audience across the world. And thanks to Informa Markets and ProPak Asia for this opportunity as well. Today, my presentation belongs to the developments in packaging innovations in changing world. Yes, Desai Dangadai, the world is changing. Well, the world is changing. It has become a place where everything can be found instantly and where everybody seems to know everybody. And people have got to use to live on top of each other and like to share the very limited space available, obviously, all at the same time. The latest news is always with us in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, the world has also become a place where the tragic incidents at schools and other places have become a part of our life. People are changing. It's great to see how today people stand up against horrible crimes and how individuals discover the benefits of working as a team in order to become successful together. It is super to see that true happiness at work still exists. Of course, many of us are working from home under the current circumstances. And that after work, people still find time to do what they like to do most, shopping. While others are still waiting until they are finally done. People are more finding balance in their lives by spending quality life with their families too, at home or in a restaurant. Unfortunately, there is a downside to good life as well. But man, if you are hungry, you must eat. And since computers are so much fun, we teach our kids to use them as early as possible. Our environment is also changing. Although green is one of the most popular colors, we see less and less of it every day. With our never-ending hunger for more, we got used to boosting up our production, not really realizing that what's happening. We often get less. We produce and consume so much together that waste has become an important problem for us, but for the next generations. Of course, at the same time, a lot of good things are happening as well. More and more sustainable energy resources are used. After all, there is plenty of wind and sun and water out there. We recycle more, we construct green buildings, and an exhaust-free driving is the new kid on the block. Technology is changing, my friends. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell makes the first telephone call in his Boston laboratory, summoning his assistant from the next room. I don't think he could have imagined the world after 140 years. While some of us will remember the introduction of the first home computers in the early 80s, our kids don't even know there was a life once without computers. And look where healthcare coming from. Today, incredible technologies are available, making patients live much longer. Consumers are changing. They're very different from each other. Always interested. Man, demanding more and more. a need for funny stuff that has not been invented yet, or the stuff that is plentifully available over there. But if there is something really new out there, they make sure to get it first. You know this, what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, the packaging is changing, but it's not always getting better. Sometimes packaging is difficult to open. And friends, if you want to kill somebody, then packaging in this way should help you to get your job done. Well, but there is a lot of great packaging out as well. Packaging that helps patients to take their drugs in time. Packaging that protects and shows the products as well. And packaging that's clearly different from what the competition is offering. But friends, if the world, the people, the technologies, the environment, packaging, and so on are changing, then it's extremely important to know what your position is and what you have to do to catch up in order to stay ahead and be successful in the race. In an always changing world, the key is to innovate in your industry and inspire the people around you by being the change by yourself you want to see in the world. Of course, you must speak about your successes to the rest of the world. Don't hide them. And motivate your people to make things happen. And don't keep all your know-how to yourself, but share it with people that are important for your future plans. Keep the promises that you make. And you know what they say about making promises? It's easy making babies. Delivering them, that's the difficult part. You should be the source of creativity. Well, my friends, pay good attention to the next 4 slides. Well, you must be thinking, what's the question I'm going to ask? If you did not see what was the common feature in the last 4 slides, I think you raise your hand and then, you got me? I think you got it. What's that? Yes. Be different. Just now, my friend Soha explained to you. Be different is not just looking different. There are many ways. Throughout the journey with your customer, you should be different, including your post-sale service. Well, what is trending now? Look, Soha showed great packaging examples in the drink packaging. Unique packaging designs, they really reflect your feelings. And the functional packaging, whether it is a label or a cap or both. Of course, compostable water bottles, we are all talking about this nowadays. And the functionality, the packs which help you to apply the medicine without even soiling your hands. And then some packs which really meet the regulatory requirements here, the child resistance features. Look at this, Lock for Kids, the World Star President Award and the Star of the Ameristar Award winner, the #1 child resistance packaging. Of course, the print finish which glow under UV light, and the packaging where the last drop of your medicine still be consumed with the conical design bottom, especially useful for the expensive drugs. Refillable inserts, you know these. And look at this, an insulin, the diabetic patient, how he was struggling all these days. And just several shots a day to an insulin delivery solution, just like apply a patch and then just forget it. Eliminate the need for multiple daily injections. Look how the packaging made your life so convenient and so easy. Medicinal straws, the children who always cry to sip that bitter medicines. Here is the solution. Have that medicine in the straw and ask him to enjoy his favorite beverage. Well, returnable packages eliminate the unnecessary paper wastage and the loop you are talking about worldwide, which many of us know what we are doing in our childhood. It's back. The plastic-free refill service for daily household items. Well, the commitment from global companies to reduce single-use plastics in several areas. You see the Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, Unilever, McDonald's, Hershey, whatnot. Many companies. The future of packaging, if you see, it is multiple facets. The massive growth in corrugated packaging, and we are witnessing it already in the post-COVID scenario or in the pandemic scenario currently, with the e-commerce surging to the #1 trade across the world. Personalized packaging, it's more in the drink segments, as you know. And increased demand for microwavable packaging, obviously, yes. And increased demand for reusable packaging to have multiple uses and at the same time protect the shelf life at least to some extent, even though we are using it multiple times. And beverages with environmental friendly packages. Recycling reforms, emphasis to make 100% recyclable packagings. Several companies worldwide took the oath to do this. They set their targets. Boost in sustainable and compostable packaging in almost all the sectors. Well, you are aware it's very difficult to avoid aluminum in the pharmaceutical blister packagings, but a lot of research is happening to make the packaging a monomer, avoiding a heterogeneous packagings, sustainable blister packaging. I wish this research really go through. Augmented reality, AR and AI, I don't need to say anything about it. It's so much happening nowadays. And the smart packaging, we can know what is happening inside the pack without even opening outside. You can read the level, the counting, the prescription, whatnot. You know very well, printed electronics has become very common, the interactive packaging. And then the smart packaging and interactive packaging alerts the medical adherence, those adherents in the pharmaceutical packaging, which is very, very vital. Use of nanotechnology in packaging materials. And this is the key. I think in my lifetime, I hope I'm definitely going to see the big developments, and which is helping the mankind in the future very much. Well, biomimicry. So far, packaging helps to protect the product and brings the product to your shelf. Now it can mimic the nature, the smell, taste, color. I think these are on the anvil. It's going to happen, my dear friends. And just now I told how your packaging is going to speak. You don't need to read anything. After all, it says to you, you open me. You don't use me. I already expired. Don't use me at all. And I have all these ingredients in me. And water and it will be interactive too.
My name is Nora. I'm a registered dietitian, and I am here to welcome you to True Life Supplements.
So guys, you have seen, I think this is going to be the key in the coming days. Don't need to worry about whether your labeling is visible, does it contain all that ingredients, all that information, what I need, nothing. And the salesman, the technician is in front of you. She or he is going to talk to you with just a click from your smartphone. and tells you what are all you want. And it's going to be interactive too in the coming days. And if you do all that, you will change the world with respect to the planet, with respect to the people, and with respect to the planet. And if you are doing that, you are changing the world with all of us. My dear friends, celebrate being a part of the packaging community worldwide. I am proud being a packaging professional. You also be proud of belonging to the great packaging community, which is doing great things for the mankind. And as we say, the better quality of life through better packaging for more people. That the mission statement for the World Packaging Organization, the apex body in the world of packaging. Thank you very much, my dear friends.
Well, Chakravarti, thank you very much for that. Fascinating, a lot of information there. And again, I'm sure there are going to be lots of questions for you. At this stage, I'd like to note that we also have members from India, Jordan, Japan, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Nigeria, Nepal, Philippines, and Pakistan. So we have quite a global presence today, which leads me into my next speaker today, and that is Dr. Martin Uzinski. Now, Martin has spent a fair amount of his time in the supply chain field, and more recently with Coca-Cola Amatil in Australia, where his role was leading 5 production facilities. But I think his love is where he was when he grew up in Germany, as he enjoys the teaching, the consulting, the research aspects of the brewing industry. And that's it was in that area that he's specialized. And that's where he obtained his PhD in biotechnology. Martin, we look forward to listening to your presentation on innovative technologies for beverage packaging. Over to you.
Thanks, Professor Pierre. Really appreciate your introduction. At first, I wanted to say thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great honor to be part of the ProPak Asia. Thanks, Rose. And I'm quite honored to share the virtual stage with my fellow colleagues here. I remember when I looked over LinkedIn in a preparation for this event, I think Professor Pierre made a comment around it will be a thriller. I can agree. When I listened to Chakravarti and to Soha, definitely there was exciting and fantastic presentations. I hope I'm stepping up to the plate as well and making a thriller. So I'm talking about beverage packaging innovation. It's right. I'm absolutely passionate about it. I apologize already when I'm speaking too quick. I'm trying very hard to not rushing through the slides, but I have a lot of to share. So I have 3 pieces I want to share with you guys today. At first, I want to talk about what is the difference, what is the big movements in packaging technology and innovation. Then I want to speak about what is packaging thought leadership and how can we develop them. And last but not least, I want to share with you how we can transition from motherhood statements, from buzzwords like 4.0, IoT, lighthouse, control towers, to real tangible roadmaps. For me, that is the most important. After my 15 years with the Coca-Cola system, I've heard a lot of fantastic slogans, brands, and buzzwords. For me, my passion comes in when we're talking about tangible roadmaps, tangible projects. So I have 8 slides I brought with me, and I will make sure I spend already 2 minutes that I'm spending another 13 minutes on it. I'm staying very light touch with the next two slides because I realized I don't want to repeat the fantastic slides and messages you got from Soha and Agravati already. Maybe only one sentence or one liner here for this, and I'm sure you have seen all these pictures. What is the influence? It starts with a trigger. And when you think about what the millennials, our consumers from tomorrow, they're preferring to be connected rather than they drive their own car. So think about it. They rather would like to be connected to Wi-Fi than being convenient. So everything changed. We heard from Chakravati a couple of times, life changes. And thank you very much, Chakravati, that you picked the wind of change. That is actually where I'm coming from Germany, the Scorpions, but it's another topic for another day. We heard about this as well. So if you have changes in the preference, rightly so, that every one of us, I'm sure, in all of our organizations where we're coming from, we have sustainable pledges. You can see here some of the big ones. The World Without Waste with the Coke company where I've worked from. You have the Pepsis, you have the Nestle's, the Asahis, the Heineken's, only to call some out. And we heard about, they're very similar in their approach. Now, what is the consequence out of this? So we heard about everything changes. I'm talking about the pledges. Now, obviously, I want to give you as well some cool new innovation, which I'm looking at the moment. You can see the 4 windows I opened here for you on the left-hand side, the bottle of the future. And now each of the innovation I'm talking about is very heavily driven by sustainability, because I believe strongly that this is a driver for tomorrow. If it's not linked to sustainability, I don't think it will survive long-term in innovation. So bottle of the future, why I'm calling this out, you can see on the left-hand side, maybe heavily driven in Germany, the refillable bottles. Now, the interesting part here is that individual big bottler, like Gerolsteiner here, which is a German mineral water bottler, they starting actually to creating their own pool bottles. So a customized own bottle only for their products. Now, on the other hand, you can see the consumer-facing innovation are not existent. So the bottle, when I look back the last 15 years, they haven't changed. There is not big innovation. Yes, maybe a more fancy label, and yes, maybe an in-mold or a soft touch or an in-mold label on the crate, but not more. I'm not talking too much about the sign underneath. That is a sort of a symbol for recycling. The future is not mechanical recycling 100%. There will be a mix with chemical, but that's another point. When you go further right, you can see the closure technology. In Europe, from 2024 on, every bottler need to have tethered closures. That means when you open and drink the liquid, the closure has to remain on the bottle. That is a government regulation until 2024, which obviously is a significant investment. There's some smart solutions how we can take some weight out of the finish to finance it, but that's quite interesting. You see other closure things, recycled material for HDPE, question mark. I know there's a lot of trials going on. And then when you shift over on the right-hand side, you see a move away from film. Again, heavily driven in Europe, but I know that everyone else talks about it as well. You see the paper pack from KHS, for example. We heard about before the Kiel clip from GPIA or other green clips from KHS or other suppliers. And then 100% recycled PET. And I only want to raise here some questions. Think about when you say a circular economy, you want to make sure you have 100% recycled PET. Does it mean if I'm based in Australia and using recycled PET out of Taiwan, is this circular? So you can make up your mind yourself, but I think that will be a discussion moving forward. Sorry for rushing a bit through it, but I want to come here to the point, talking to you guys about the roadmap. As I mentioned, we have the change, the consumer preference changes, we have the pledges, we have some results, but how do we go there? And that is all about our job. in building a roadmap, a tangible roadmap. I don't have to repeat all the R's, you know, the big 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. That is nothing new. Rethink, everyone has a different interpretation. And I want to share you my interpretation of a rethink. So the first, when I start or talk to packaging technologists, the first I'm asking them, take all your packaging categories, map them on a 2x2 reputational risk versus complexity to solve. And then I want to see which one we are not happy, which one we need to work on. That is the first piece. Obviously, you see underneath, do you know your packaging footprint breakdown? Importantly to know is if you have a closure, which you're not very happy and you think is high reputational risk, why is this the case? Is this because you have different materials of plastic material, which is hard to recycle? Is this because you use PVCs or other materials, sterenes, you don't want to have anymore? Then you're shifting over on the right-hand side. On the top, you see the traffic lights. That is for me, start straight away tomorrow when you come back to work. If you have an NPD, a new product innovation, what you're launching, don't launch something which you later have to put back on the left-hand side matrix. You can start tomorrow with a traffic light. If it's not recyclable, kill it tomorrow. If it's maybe sort of a yellow light, then think about what your plan is. If there's no plan, you can't launch it. And then we're coming back to the roadmap. And you can see I'm more an engineer than a marketing person or an artist. Roadmap, that is important. Now, I believe there's one R missing, and that is risk. And that is our job. If you think about to build a roadmap, then our job is to understand in our organization what is our risk appetite. What is our risk appetite of our shareholders and stakeholders? What is the risk appetite of our consumers and customers? And last but not least, which is very important for me, what is the risk? What is your risk taking? If you want to bring innovation to life, is this a supplier's role and you make them jumping through hoops, or is this your role as well? And I want to talk about today about packaging thought leadership, or AQ. I think for people, they're not millennials in our event, and I'm sure there's some of them. I'm one of them. I grew up with, I knew that IQ, if you're smart, you come up with great ideas. That is the IQ. Then I learned over my career that this alone is not good enough to be an engineer and be smart. You need an EQ, you need the emotional intelligence. You need to work and understand what consumers want. And Soha did a fantastic presentation talking about the consumer or customer needs. COVID latest should have taught us that there's more what we need, and that is the AQ. And that is actually the adaptability. If we are not capable as managers, as innovators, as packaging technologists to adapt, then we have a problem. There's a fantastic Harvard business study from Amy Edmondson, and it is around the fearless organization, it's called. And it's all about growth, innovation, and you need the AQ. AQ is your X factor for success in a workplace. And again, you see the subline here with don't be an innovation roadblock. Don't ask your supplier or your people to jump through all the hoops. Come to the table and take some risks. Without risks, we saw before Steve Jobs a couple of times from Chakravarti, without risk, you don't get innovation. Now, the last 3 minutes, last 2 slides, I want to talk about a good framework. I'm a fan of good frameworks. So how do you build this roadmap? How do you become more risk-taking? When you see here on the slide on the top, you see the packaging strategy outcomes. You can read yourself. That is what we want to achieve. That's what we need. Then you see in blue in the middle, that's our engine, the ways of working. And on the bottom, you see the enabler. Let's start with the middle, with the engine. And in the middle of the blue ones is steering from the top. That is you, that's us, that's me. Tone, pace, and direction is what I like to say during my career to my teams, who developing. I'm setting, you get a strategy, you have a global direction, you have the sustainability pledges. It's your job now to set them and frame it in a way that everyone understands it, your supplier, your customer, your teams. And then my favorite, ruthless prioritization. Stop tomorrow straight away what is not delivering the strategy, and work on stuff what is needed. Now you can't do it by yourself. That's why you have the left and right boxes. On the left-hand side, task force. That is my understanding. That is what you build first when you want to innovate. You get a cross-functional team. You ask them to analyzing end-to-end a full value stream map. You're challenging the status quo, and that is the capability they need. And obviously customer focus, as I mentioned before. Now, what you have when you have this both, then you build your fast project execution, the sprint initiation, and all the cool words about agile, scrums, testing, learning, tracking, outcome celebrations. Yes, reward and recognition is important. So task force and fast project execution can be the same team or separate. And then I mentioned before, underneath your enabler, without a good program management office or project manager, without the good digitized tools, and obviously the right scorecard, and you see my favorite word, prioritization again. So that's your framework. That's what you start, you can implement. Now, how do you take it then from there? You see on the bottom left-hand side, the start, that's a scope. What do you want to achieve? What is the scope? Then you go into a diagnostic, and in the diagnostic, essential underneath is a good IT architecture. You need the right real-time numbers. If you don't have numbers, you don't have facts, you don't have the strategic context. Without a good diagnostic, you don't get a good outcome and a good roadmap. Then you go to prioritization, very simple 2x2 matrix, benefit versus effort. You build your initiatives, you build a hopper. And then you go in execution. And you can, when you go around the circle in blue, you see with a process retrospective, you can read yourself, Kaizen, some fancy words, and then you get your roadmap. And you can see people that are a bit in the agile world see you can apply a good scrum. You can apply a sprints. That is not a one-time thing, a roadmap. You set it and then you review it quarterly, half yearly, maybe oftener. And you can see yourself as well. It follows good strategy, bad strategy. And I think a lot of people of us have read this book. Set a goal, set a plan. Bad strategy is you have no plan. If you have a bad plan, it's still better than no plan. You need a plan. You need to be clear, ruthless priority, and an RCA. Does everyone in your team knows what the responsibility and accountability are, and measure it against? And on the bottom, I'm jumping straight away because I'm smashing the 15 minutes, is the ways of working. That is then what you're applying. That is your new norm. There's no transformation. It is your new way of working. And then you make it dynamic instead of static. You're not going in and do it one more time. I have to apologize again for my rushed and quick language. I know in preparation, Chakravarti and Professor Pierre, we talked about that we should speak slowly and collected. Yeah, that's definitely not my strength, but I hope there was something in for you. I'm more than happy. You can see my email address. If there's some comments, question, I'm happy to answer all of them. And I hope I gave you all back 5 minutes and we have more Q&A. Professor Pierre? Or was I too quick?
Perfect. What do you mean? Perfect, that was. Thank you very much, Martin. Can I congratulate you on a excellent topic. There's a lot of information you gave here. You know, we need probably time to let it digest properly. So can I also at this stage welcome Matt Chakravarti, AVPS, and also Soha Atala, if they could come back as well. Right, well, This is the exciting time. This is the part that I really enjoy, because I get to ensure that the questions keep firing at you and challenging you, and that is where a lot of information comes out that was possibly not in the presentation. So with that, if I can go straight to some questions, and I'm going to go straight to what's on the chat function, and there's a beautiful question there from Martin. If the other two of you can answer as well, please feel free. So Martin, plastic causes environment problems, but paper products can cause global warming. So which is more sustainable?
That's my favorite questions.
That's why I gave it to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's one of the most difficult ones as well, because I hate to always to answer with depends. I can give you a very clear answer. There is no answer. And maybe I sidetrack a bit, and you stop me if I sidetrack too much. It's about life cycle analysis, carbon footprint. When you think about to compare paper versus glass versus cans versus PET, there's only winners and losers if you, depending where you set your boundaries. Yes, there's some ISO certification when you do carbon footprint with different scopes. But I can tell you, if you compare your paper, for example, and I think Soha, you showed it before, it's a paper bottle which Coke was working on. If you compare this, for example, with a plastic bottle, it's very difficult, because where do you start? Do you start the moment it comes in a bottling plant and measure the carbon footprint or the environmental impact when it comes to the customer in the supermarket? Or do you stop when a consumer brings it back in and do the first circularity? Or do you go back on the other direction to the raw material when you compare cans and you include bauxite, the production of virgin aluminum? So you can see I should become a politician, right? I haven't answered the question. What I'm trying to explain here is there's no right or wrong. It depends where you set your boundaries. I can tell you paper depends on the country. When you sit in Japan, where they have a fantastic recycled material in paper, you would not go from a cardboard box and put your Coke bottles in and go to shrink. If you be in Europe, the shrink is actually from a carbon footprint lower than a cardboard, but the consumer preference and perceptions killing you. Now, I hope I answered a bit. Set the boundaries and really understand what you want to achieve. Global warming is obviously holistic. Ideally, you drink, I'm a beer drinker. You go in a pub and drink it direct out of the tap. But I'm not sure if everyone likes this to watch you doing this.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I'm going to jump straight from that to something completely different and direct this one at you, Soha. There is a fine balance between differentiation, attractiveness, usability, innovation, and sustainability. What would be your priorities when you have to make difficult choices? And where can we look for guidance?
Yes, it's a challenging questions. And I started my presentation with this kind of the different packaging role that needs to address, and it's a challenge, and we need to compromise on different level. But for me, the most important, although I'm a marketing passionate, but for me, when we talk about packaging, the most important role of packaging is protection, is the functionality of the package. So this is the priority. The package needs to be functional, needs to be convenient, needs to protect the food safety aspect. So this is the prerequisite, the protection and the containment role. Once this role is there, then we move to the attractiveness and the colors and the design aspect. So the priority should be to the functional role of packaging, and then to work on the attractiveness and the marketing, because you know, it's a two sides of the sword, as we say. We cannot have packaging that is beautiful and amazing and attractive, but it does not fulfill the functional aspect. At the same time, also marketing is also important. We cannot have a very good functional packaging that is ugly and unattractive and all of this. But because marketing is subjective, as I said, a color, for example, blue is attractive to me. In other countries, they prefer purple or yellow. So the marketing is perspective things. It's emotions. It connects with different consumer needs around the globe. But the functional aspect, the package needs to contain the product, to avoid leaking, to protect from the factors, environmental factors, and all of this. I hope I was clear in my message.
Well, we'll soon find out if you are clear, because I'm going to ask Chakravarti, who's going to obviously look at it from a different perspective than you. And I'd like to hear what his comment is.
On the same thing. On the same thing.
On the same topic that Sawar was answering, I want to see if your answer is any different to her answer.
Well, the consumer always looks for better value for his money in a single sentence. So whether it looks good or whether it satisfies the product demands and product needs, and it has to fulfill both at the same time. And another note, if you really ask me about what the current consumer is thinking about in the current scenario, of course, the COVID is completely occupied our surroundings, and it really, I think there is a major shift in our thinking process also. If you ask all of us a year and a half ago, our answers would have been a little different. But now the pandemic has surrounded all of us, and it has really changed the business perspectives also. The consumer preferences are fastly changing, and their preferences, their interests, they really affect what they're going to buy in the market. And as per me, what a consumer really look into is I don't say we're all lazy. Okay, people are fit savvy. I don't say we're all lazy, but we're all looking for that little bit of convenience. It's not a small convenience. It's a great bit of convenience. Yes. So that convenience factor is really driving the purchasing decisions. And the increasing personalization in the packaging. For example, pharmaceutical, you and me are very into the pharmaceutical packaging. The worldwide, when you talk about the personalization and all, even the Medicare is completely personalized. The cell therapies, gene therapy, completely millions and billions of people around the world. For example, in Scandinavian countries, the mapping is already completed. So in the future, every single person is going to be treated differently. The medication will be different, and it will be completely a preventive measure. It's not a cure after disease comes. So that is how the personalization also come into the personalization, the packaging also come into. And in the post-pandemic, people are all looking for localization. The imports are getting a little less. And then the support for the local products, many of the local products, not in India, in Australia or Lebanon and UK or any other place, people are looking for that local products to be promoted in a big way. And the latent, the potential of all the products can be brought out to the customers. And packaging plays a vital role into that. And as we are aware, the health and the wellness, this is another thing consumers are really thinking about it. So the packaging must help in these factors also. And as I told you before, the customer is very interested to know what the product is costing and how much is offering to him. The comparison is very easy. Nowadays, people just quickly make a big comparison chart, and they look for themselves whether whatever they're buying is good for them or not. So it's difficult to. I don't use the word cheat, but you cannot hide from customer anymore. So the marketeer or the production supplier need to be transparent enough, and then align with your consumer needs and make your consumer loyal to you. That's how the brand loyalty can come into the picture. And all these factors, whatever I've been talking about, the packaging plays a vital role. That's what Mr.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm sure that Srini, who put that question to us, has got quite a lot of aspects to think about there in those answers. Martin, coming back to you, it's an interesting question. And Charmaine has asked this question. To some extent, I'm not 100% sure what she means by it, but maybe you can. Does new packaging materials or new trend materials have any international standards that have been established that allows limits on how much of this material can be used?
No. I like yes or no answers, but international standards, I think it's more driven by regulatories. We heard, I think from Soha, you spoke about food safety, or you have a background in food safety. So I see there some international standards in food safety from a protection. Yes, there's maybe some, if you see this as standards, but then very quickly we're coming down to regional directives. In the EU, I mentioned the tethered closures, where regulatory is coming out and saying you need to have a tethered closure. And then the next level is then more towards international companies or international organizations. They connected and saying we do pledges and we want to exit single-use plastic or sugar or whatever it is. But standards besides the food safety ISO certification and maybe international customer regulatories, I don't see international standards what can be in packaging if it's not from criminal intent, which I don't think you meant.
I don't think so, but yeah. Interesting. All right, Soha, when you were giving your presentation, I felt I have to ask you this question. How do we know the consumer's needs? And the needs are different to the wants. You mentioned about knowing the needs of the consumer and then satisfying those needs. So let's take it one step back. How are you going to establish those needs?
Okay. First of all, before knowing the consumer needs, I need to have the segmentation. I need to identify my consumers. As I said, I cannot satisfy all the consumers. Like if I'm focusing on kids, on women, on men, and all the variables that I discussed in my presentation. Then when I segment the target segment, I study the needs through different things. You know, we have a lot of companies who are specialized in market research, like Mentor, like Euromonitor. Market research is sometimes expensive thing, but it's really very important because you have to do market research. And this is an ongoing process. Like when you launch a product, you have to do a market research, but it needs to update it from time to time, because as we see, the market needs are changing and the consumer needs are changing. So one of the aspects of doing market needs is even quantitative or qualitative. You do focus group, you go and make research, you go and talk with people, you make surveys, but the most important thing is focus group, is to bring people from different background, from the same segment, and to discuss with them their needs. Sometimes they do experimentals. So it's called market research. This is what it's called.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you on that. And I'm going to come back to you when I challenge you on what you just said. So be prepared.
With pleasure.
Martin, you know, when you were talking about strategy frameworks, but I found there was an element there that should one not bring in the human factor into that framework of strategy. The human factor plays such a significant part. What's your take on that? What's your opinion on that?
Agree. And the number one is as a human factor is actually the passion, because I talked about as well how you're framing and making sure that the strategy or where you want to go in innovation, how you make it stick across the organization, because you can't do it yourself. So that's definitely where the human factor comes in, and your experience. However, when I follow the train of thought that everything starts with my customer, because he's the person or they are the people that are buying it, it is more around finding the right solution for the customer and starting with the customer in mind. Because my concern is, and I think I touched on this a bit when I spoke about risk, how much risk are you taking? That's maybe where the personal influence comes in. But on the end, it's not so much, and I'm guilty. I have in my past pushed projects in ideas which I thought was awesome, was an absolute disaster because no one was interested beside myself. And I convinced myself it's fantastic. And that's where a framework helps. And cross-functional people, they're empowered to tell you, no, Martin, yeah, you may be more the senior person, but it's actually not a great idea. Does it?
Yeah. I like that answer. Chakravarti, I enjoyed your presentation because it was alive, really alive, and it was coming at you all the time, which was great, you know. But there's one part that I want to ask you about. You know, you mentioned about innovations, and that's good. Well, I think it's good. But there's always this factor of dollars and cents. How do you, in your type of work, how do you balance these two out? Because they're very different. Your microphone, Chakravarti.
If you really ask me as a layman, also not a packaging technologist, my simple answer is a couple of decades ago, if I need to buy an RFID, simple RFID tag, it used to cost me $1, a couple of dollars. And today, a product worth few pennies is having an RFID, even an NFC tag, which is 100 times powerful than what it was a couple of decades ago. So the world is changing, Mr. Pia. And the simple answer, another simple example is the mobile phones. When I started using mobile phone back in 1996, 97, I remember I was carrying almost a Motorola 600 grams or 800 grams. That's called mobile phone. That was called those days. The outgoing charges for a call for the 30 seconds duration was almost $1 US dollar. And the incoming call was $0.50. And now we are talking about 5G and literally zero price. You just need to pay for your mobile bill in the month, and you are able to access all over the world. Imagine how much we struggled during the early days in that Skype and VoIP video calls worldwide. Even before that, the video calls used to cost us heaven and hell. So similarly, it is changing. I must say, the technology is changing, affordability is increasing, and the product innovations. So if you talk about product innovations, are taking place in almost all the sectors, and the packaging innovations also are not lagging far behind. Just now I spoke on that smart packaging technology, and I think it is into our lives already. The advanced sensors that collect information and really gives you that kind of information and tags that provides data about all the product. And don't forget the blockchain technology. People think it's a Greek and Latin, and it's already into it. The blockchain technology, especially in the food segment. We are talking about the beverages and drink technology and all over the food segment, that really guarantees you the total transparency, what is customer is expecting, the traceability all along throughout the supply chain gamut, throughout the journey from the sourcing of the ingredients, manufacturing, shipping, storing, and then reaching to the customer end. So entire place, the blockchain technology is into it, and it really helps the trading partners also to be very communicative, and the transaction also makes smoother. It avoids all that documentation and all. Yet it is one of the authentic, and it will be a standard in almost all the segments in the future. And the innovation in the sustainable materials, both Dr. Martin and Soha were talking about, and we are talking about which wins, the convenience or product appeal or sustainability. I think tomorrow, even today, sustainability has become a standard. No longer it's a luxury. It needs to be how best you can introduce the sustainability into your product, into your material, and the packaging everywhere. So it's all up to us. And then the better e-commerce is a segment people are really looking forward. What are all the innovations in the coming whatever is happening is extraordinary. Innovations are happening already, but it's not enough, because the future belongs to e-commerce packaging, and all the packaging technologists worldwide who are looking into this, they need to really think twice, think out of the box, inside the box, whatsoever, around the box, how the box should be in the future, because that is going to be the key in the future.
Thank you. Now, Soha, I told you I was going to come back to you. And you were talking about trying to justify that you can establish the needs of the consumer. So what about, because you focus at one point on openability.
On what? Sorry?
On the opening aspect of a container. All right? Yes. And this is a significant problem with a fair amount of people across the world.
Yes.
Besides the elderly who battle to open a lot of packs, but that's one aspect. In addition to that, it's a statistical aspect, and that is that 20% of the population has one or another disability. For example, arthritis.
Arthritis, yes.
Yeah. So, and we are not designing packs for those people. We're not designing the packs for the 20% that are disabled in some or other form. Yet you tell me a few moments ago that you get to understand the needs of the consumer and then you design accordingly.
Yes. I want to tell you regarding the arthritis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, Advil, the famous painkiller, they design it for, they have a special package and they wrote on it special for arthritis. So I'm telling you, sometimes this small segment is quite important for the brand. So yes, some brands take this small percentage and they respond to it. For example, when you are talking about niche market, when you're talking about high-end olive oil or high-end beverage like wine, especially packed in some very glamorous way, yes, these brand owners are responding to the needs of this specific niche market. So I stress the importance of market research. I stress the importance of positioning your brand in order to see to whom you want to respond. I gave the example of Evian. Evian kids are not very important for them in their perspective, but they decided this year they want to do limited edition Disney character. So they responded to this specific segment. And arthritis, many pharmaceutical companies, they make the cap especially for people with this disability needs.
Okay. Thank you for that. Martin, you discussed in some detail there on innovative technologies and I guess the risks associated with that. What about the investment associated with that? What about the dollars associated with that? How did you, when you were in that phase of your life, how did you justify, because it's always good to have innovative technologies coming through, because that's how we progress. But at the same time, there's a monetary aspect that one has to balance to that new technology, because you have to admit, and you by your own admission said this, and that was that you pushed through ideas that only you thought were a good idea, which brings me to my point about innovation, about pushing your own ideas versus the value of it from a monetary perspective.
There's a very simple way and simple answer, which we all struggling to adhere to. That is a process discipline. Now, you wouldn't be surprised with a German engineering background that I'm a fan of process discipline, because maybe bad news for everyone who believes bypassing, shortcutting, entrepreneurial, it can only be if you're breaking out of the system, the process. I can tell you wrong. It's not. You get slower. You do what I mentioned before. You follow your own instincts, and we all get sometimes wrong in our instincts. So back to your question, Pierre, it is process discipline. That means when you go into innovation, you have your gates, you have your hurdles. Be crystal clear. And I'm talking not only for people that are project managers, they're actually quite good in this. It's actually the senior management. It is the MD who comes and believes he needs to make a call on the color of the closure because his wife likes orange, and so he wants to tell her, I made an orange closure. What we need all to do is, doesn't matter where you are on the food chain, you need to adhere to process. If the number's telling you it makes no sense, and it makes no sense, then you have to kill it. And we are very good in coming up with great ideas under the shower in the morning, on the runs, wherever it is. But we're very bad in killing stuff early. You know, there's a lot of saying, innovate quickly and fail early and all of this, but it's on the end comes very simple, is stay to the numbers, go to the hurdles. If you need as a gate 3, your payback, your IRR needs to be 11.5% or whatever it is, or payback 3 years. If it's not, kill it. That is a very simple answer.
Chakravarti, you know, I mentioned to you earlier on that there was a lot of information that you gave. And one of the things that I really want to ask on, and this is, what innovations stand out in packaging for you?
It's a long answer, but it can be shortened. Like, ultimately, the customer is the choice.
Someone's influencing you too much there, Chakravarti.
What customer wants, you have to deliver. And packaging, what else can be the best medium of packaging? Because Rose was mentioning there are several Vietnamese friends joined us this evening. I think for them, I must say, Desai Dangai Doi and Babigun Dangai Doi. As the world is changing, packaging also changing. Imagine you people have a great company, one of the best FMCG company, THP. THP is a great company. It's a family-owned company. Their deputy CEO, Miss Big Tan, is the daughter of the founder. And Vietnamese, the largest selling brands, Dr. Herbal Tea, Energy Drink Tea, and also the green tea. And they are not only producing in Vietnam, but they are exporting to countries far places, Canada and all. They also produce, why I'm saying the packaging enthusiasts in Vietnam who are watching this, today, they can be proud of their own company, THP, the largest FMCG company in their country. And THP produced a big print book out of all the years, what are all the development innovations in their products took place. They printed the book, which is available for the Vietnamese also. I think the innovation in packaging go along with the product innovation. I think nothing short of it. I don't want to really extend further. So packaging, as I always keep on saying, many people shy of declaring themselves belonging to packaging profession, but it's no longer, my dear friends. Be very proud, be very proud. In fact, we are in the front, we are the front runners. Even addressing the current pandemic, the packaging industry is the front runner. Be it the medical devices, frontline defense medicines, or the vaccines. Everywhere your presence is there. So when you say the innovation, what else? The customer preference and what customer wants. It has to be preempted, and packaging should be the conduit to take forward all those innovations to you.
Okay, well, that's a lot of food for thought there. Which, you know, the question time always goes too fast for me because we're up on our time. And I have to ask all of you this one question, but you only have 1 minute to answer it. 1 minute, because we're over time. But I need to know from you. We've all been through a torrid time in our own environments, in our own countries over the past 14, 15 months, some more than others. But starting with you, Soha, what, in your opinion, is going to be the next normal from a packaging perspective? So we go Soha, and then Martin, and then Chakravarti in 1 minute each.
You have to explain.
If you can't, sorry?
What do you mean the next normal? I didn't get your question.
Well, the normal today is very different from what the normal was a year, 14 months ago, before COVID. So where is the next normal? How do we plan for the next what will that normal be? Would you like to pass it on and you come last after the gentleman?
No, I can answer in 1 minute. The next normal of packaging is to respond to all these needs. But number one, as Chakravarti also highlighted it, is to be the smart packaging, to be connected, to always exceed the expectation and the convenience of the consumer. So this is the next normal. So the packaging should meet the consumer needs and should be connected, sustainable, all the things that I talked about. So it's not acceptable not to have a packaging that does not respond to these trends anymore. This is for me.
Thank you. Martin, same question.
I wish I could go first because sorry, you said a lot of good stuff. I don't need a minute. Social responsible.
Great. Nice.
That was only like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so the packaging, for me.
Right. Chakravarti, in your minute on the next
packaging will is going to reinforce the statement, the very statement. It's not different. It's the integral part of every product in every segment, and this will be reinforced.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a wonderful time spent with the three of you. You gave such diverse answers, and your presentations were an enormous amount of information there that we can take away and to some extent put into practice. And it's part of our learnings to hear the different commentary on similar questions from the three of you. So we, on behalf of all our viewers across the world, I want to thank you for the time, the effort, and the focus that you put on today in this webinar. We certainly hope to see you again, Martin in Australia, Soha in Lebanon, and Chakravarti in India. And with that, I hand over to Ms. Rose in Bangkok.
Yes, so thank you, Prof. Pierre. Thank you to Martin, Sohar, and Mr. Chakravarti. So to their audience and speaker, this is going to be a more and more sessions in the coming future. I hope to get Sohar, Mr. Martin, and Mr. Chakravarti to be with our audience again. Of course, Dr. Pierre have to be with me without saying no. So thank you very much and enjoy to look at the rerun session in our www.propakasia.com. Don't forget we have our virtual exhibition in the coming June 9 to 23rd of June. So see you online and wish to see you in person in September, ProPak Asia in Bangkok, Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Pierre, for being an excellent moderator as usual and challenging.
Nice to have
Thank you all, and have safe COVID-safe times ahead, all of you.
Yeah, stay safe. Bye.
Bye, Martin. Nice meeting you.
Same. Thank you so much.